The alleged abduction and deportation of Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye to his country from Kenya is the latest incident in Kenya's history of handing over refugees and asylum seekers back to their countries against international practices that prohibit the forced repatriation of asylum seekers and refugees. Although Kenya is home to about 800,000 refugees, it is fast becoming a hostile ground for them, as a string of deportations and even killings within its borders paint a negative image of a country which has prided itself as the refuge of those fleeing their countries. As Emmanuel Tona reports, the deportation came on the day President William Ruto's government launched Kenya's new foreign policy. Take a listen.
The culture of abductions in Kenya is seemingly becoming popular against residents at home and those from foreign countries. The alleged abduction and deportation of Uganda opposition leader Kizza Besigye from Westlands, Nairobi back to Uganda, adding to the growing list of foreigners Nairobi has deported back to their countries to face whatever fate awaited them. While the Kenyan government has denied involvement in Besigye's case, Besigye's wife, Winnie Byanyima, claimed her husband had been kidnapped and arrested in Nairobi on Saturday and handed over to Ugandan authorities. His charge sheet at the Uganda People's Defence Force General Court Martial at Makinde, Kampala, indicating that he committed the offence at Riverside Apartments in Westlands, Nairobi.
Is it safe for opposition politicians in Uganda to enter Kenya and stay there? Is it safe? Oh, we are persona non grata now in Kenya.
The claim by the government that it had no role in the abduction rings hollow, given the charges back in Kampala and would otherwise be a concession of ignorance of happenings in the country. About a month ago, Kenya was again making headlines for the wrong reasons, at least according to human rights organizations, locally and internationally. Nairobi repatriated 4 Turkish nationals on the Turkish government's request, handing over Mustafa Cenk, Oztu Kuzun, Alparslan Tachi, and Hussein Yesilsu amid criticism from the international community, including the International Commission of Jurists and Amnesty International. The 4 were repatriated against their will and against the United Nations principle of non-refoulement, which is enshrined in the 1951 Refugee Convention. The convention says asylum seekers and refugees cannot be returned to their countries where their lives or freedoms would be in danger, regardless of their offenses. In 2022, Kenya was also on the international radar after Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif was gunned down by Kenyan police officers in cold blood while driving his car in Quenia Farm along Kamukuru Road in Kajiado County. Opponents of the Pakistani government believe that he was targeted in a plot organized in Pakistan due to an expose which was awaiting airing. Kenya was slapped with a 10 million shillings compensation for the family of the slain journalist, as the court ruled the death was arbitrary and unconstitutional.
Justice for Tekla Michael. Justice for Tekla.
In November last year, the family of missing Ethiopian national Samson Tekla Michael, who was abducted in Kileleshwa, Nairobi, organized a peaceful march at the spot where Samson was abducted to mark 2 years since he was kidnapped by unknown people. It is believed that Tekla Michael, a fierce critic of the Ethiopian government, was abducted and handed over to Ethiopian agencies. 25 years ago, the same script played out regarding another Turkish national, Abdullah Öcalan. In February 1999, when he arrived in Kenya, the Kurdish nationalist leader felt he had finally gotten to a safe place after years of being on the run away from Turkey, where he was being pursued for allegedly advancing a secessionist agenda, seeking Kurdish autonomy from Turkey. However, no sooner had he jetted into the country then he was returned to the airport and back to Ankara under the supervision of the then Foreign Affairs Minister Bonaya Godana. He was later condemned to a life of isolation in an island prison. Emmanuel Tona, Citizen TV, Nairobi.